Hear me? Good. Maybe a test of all the mic, if the mic is working. All good? Perfect. Thank you all for being here. For those who are not there during the opening, I represent myself a second time. I'm Pierre, Launay, the CEO and co-founder of Cube, a French no-code agency, and I'm with my associate Thomas for organizing this main stage with a lot of people over there.
Yeah. Can you hear me? It's okay? Yeah. So, hi everyone. Very glad to be here and share this roundtable today. So, my name is Thomas Groc and I'm the head of sales of Cube.
So thank you very much for having accepted our invitation. Grégoire from eFounders, Thibaut from GoJob, and Mohammed from SopraSteria. I will let you just present yourself to the audience very quickly, and after this I will present the agenda of this morning. Maybe Grégoire first.
Okay, so nice to meet you all. My name is Grégoire. I'm the head of product at eFounders. So we're a startup studio, and basically we create 5 to 6 startups per year. And since we exist in 2011, we created 34 startups. You may know some of them. And we will have time to explore, especially one of them that is called Rountable today.
Hello, my name is Thibaut. I'm a head of product and NoCode at GoJob. So GoJob, we are a staff agency. We connect people looking for work with companies looking for people. And we have been doing NoCode for 2 years now.
Hello, everyone. It seems like I'm the old man of the session. So I'm Mohammed Sijelmassi. I'm the CTO of SopraSteria. SopraSteria is a 50,000 people company, an ISV in 25 countries. And the idea of discussing with Pierre is to bring you the vision of the large companies and large customers on how the low-code and no-code should evolve.
Thank you all. So we have people from very diverse corporation companies, big corporations, CMEs, and expert of startups, and I think we are startups too with at Cube. So we have a lot of stuff to discuss this morning. We'll present the agenda, and the thing is, when we prepared this main stage, we wanted to speak about innovation, speak about automation, and critical application, because scalability, viability is very important. Not just launching project, is having viable and sustainable project in the long term. And we have a lot of testimonies, very interesting this morning. But for begin, I think the good start is to try to say and define having a definition. So I will ask you, all of you, what is your definition of no-code? And I would like to begin with Thibaut.
Okay, so before giving my answer, so the first question is why we do no-code. So at GoJob, we do no-code mainly to automate some processes. So we are heavy users of make and automation solutions. So I will answer with that in mind. So for us, a no-coder is a coder who codes with his mouse instead of the keyboard. So it's really interesting to see it as is, because it's a coder, so we expect the same scalability, the same reliability in terms of use cases. It's a coder just as it can be a data scientist. So for us, it's another skills to deliver value within our scale-up. But he codes with the mouse instead of the keyboard, meaning there are slight differences. The major one for us is to do scalable automations, but to do it quickly, with a quick lead time.
I don't know, Grégoire, if it's the same definition for you at eFounders?
Yeah, more or less. Mine is shorter. I would say that is visual programmation, basically, but it's more or less the same concept.
Mohammed, I don't know if you have to add something on this.
Well, I think that you have some nice definition for this. What is important in the low-code and low-code approach is what can be automated is automated. So sometimes it's like 50% of large grade application. The other side is to be written with traditional code. So my advice, because I'm here also to give you some advice, don't oversell the low code and the no code. It's the road to disillusion. So it is a solution that we can implement, and we have started to implement a lot of. But if we say it does everything and more, I think that will kill the stuff.
Yeah,
Thank you, Mohammed.
I think quite agree with that. There's many use cases, and NoCode can fit or not. I think it's a matter of abstraction, and from our perspective at Cube, from what we have seen during the past 3 years, is that we met many companies, and each time there are, I think, 3 approaches around NoCode. The NoCode approach, so 100% no-code. The idea is to build product automations, but without a single line of code. And in general, it's more non-tech people, of course, can be coders, but non-tech people who build. Low-code can be interesting to push forward the possibilities of the tools. And in general, we talk about low-code developers. And a last one, and we met more and more companies working like that. That is to say that no-code makers work alongside coders on project, and I think this is very interesting because it gain values inside the companies because we can match very great needs because of course no-code makers will automate faster, build faster, and code can implement new features around that. So we think it's an interesting path to follow. But specifically speaking about low-code developers, I think the low-code approach is very interesting for them because it can push forward some limitations that we can encounter on some tools. For instance, at Cube, 1 year ago, we made a test. We tried out to push the limits of a Bubble platform, and we tried to reproduce basically the famous Uber app with Bubble. And I would say that there is 60% of no-code in the app and 40% of code, 50% of no-code because, of course, we created the main UI interfaces and workflows, and 40% of code, for instance, to display the dynamic route on the map. So it can be also great things to do because I think we can deliver value faster with this approach.
And Thibaut, when we met for the first time, you were very, very precise on the fact that you have no-code teams and developer teams, and they work together. And sometimes developers want to do no-code. No-coders want, no, maybe it's always no developer that wants to do no-code. So it's very hybrid teams at GoJob.
Yes, it is. And we also work a lot with data teams because no-code is about data. So when you are a scale-up, you already got your data, and you get the most value of no-code by being connected with these data. So we work closely mostly with data teams.
It's a good link for our first topic about innovation because no-code is pretty seen much more for launching very quickly new projects with a lot of little resources and very fast launch. So we'll try to be precise and exhaustive on different showcases that we wanted to share with you, showcases from GoJob, from eFounders, and a higher level of point of view with Mohammed about all of these issues. So for the first topic, and this is something very impressive, Thibaut, you'll speak about it very better than me, but when we saw each other the first time and the way you opened the USA market with this no-code strategy was just amazing. So can you tell us a little bit more how you did it?
Yes, and on this time I will agree with you. So this no-code is not live now because his goal was to learn from the market, and now it has been replaced by traditional devs. So the issue that we got is that we are GoJob, we were performing in France, and we needed to go to the USA. But it was too risky because we didn't know the market. So in France, we do the recruitment and the payroll, but it's quite different in the USA. So what we needed is first to validate that there is a market fit in the USA, and then we needed to validate, to learn on how it works in the USA. And so that's the main reason why we started in no-code. It was to learn from the market. So with traditional devs, you learn and then you build. And our goal there was to do quite the opposite, to build and then to learn from the market. And why we've been able to do that? It's because it took us just 1 week. So actually what you can see on the picture is that on the left part is our internal back office. So it's mainly, it supports the management of a recruitment process. And we build the same with a mix of Airtable as back, Make as the glue to automate things, and Notion as the front. It was a static front just to get some applications. And so we've been doing that for 3 months. It was live for 3 months. Was supported more than 200 applications per week. And then once we learned from that, we started to do it with traditional developments. So that's what I call an innovation of intuition. We start with the first intuition that you got. You make a functional product, and then you put it on the market, and you learn from it. And our product managers were inspired by all the results to build it with the traditional devs way.
Well, it's completely the right approach. Huh? Most of the time, we were used to have some slides to describe the future of application. You don't even know how it will work, and so the low-code, no-code approach allows, let's call it innovation approach, in a way that you quickly demonstrate something. It doesn't mean that this thing will be able to support 50,000 people connecting at the same time, but it's not the matter. The matter is this is the solution. After this, you may keep part of it, add some traditional coding. It depends. But the good approach is to say those tools allow to have quickly a vision of what I'm going to have and test it. I support completely the approach. Huh?
And I think this the innovation of intuition is very interesting from GoJob. Like you build first, and after you check, you monitor. I think it's great to innovate.
Yes, but it's intuition, but the end game is to innovate with the client. Yeah. But the best way to do it is with a first functional product.
Yeah, sure. I think also, Grégoire, from eFounders, when we met, we were greatly surprised you use NoCode at eFounders, because when we speak about eFounders, we know Front, we know Aircall, some great unicorns. And yeah, using NoCode was a surprise. It's great, I think, for a community. Can you maybe explain your use case?
Yeah, so we started to introduce NoCode at eFounders last year for a company that is called Collective. And basically, so our goal at eFounders is to spend 12 to 18 months with our startups with the goal to reach or to go as close as possible to what we call the product market fit. And in order to do that, we have to basically fail fast. And we identified that going with NoCode would basically allow us to go in production much faster with, of course, not the scope that we would love to build with the product we have in mind, but we identified that it was a good way to basically start initiating business, start collecting feedback that would be helpful later to build the product that we want to build. So those two products that you see on the page, actually they have been replaced right now by custom code. But we started those two projects using no-code solutions by making sure that we were able to so those two platforms, sorry, I forgot to mention something, those are marketplaces. And not all projects, according to us, are relevant to go with no-code. And we consider that when we talk about marketplaces, so the goal is to connect people together. So for Collective, these are freelancers who want to regroup themselves into collective to work with companies submitting projects. So we had to create those matchings. And Rountable, it's a community of investors, private investing, where you have founders or business angels sharing investment opportunities into startups, and where people could basically commit to those opportunities. And those two use cases were very relevant, according to us, to build a no-code solution, where we would basically have forms publicly shareable, and then most of the no-code activities were actually run internally using a combination of Make, Airtable, and Stacker.
Yeah, maybe to conclude this first topic, because we need to move forward, but I think no-code is a relevant alternative today, thanks to the maturity of the tools to launch products in startups. We have seen it in SMBs, but also in the enterprise context, I think, for both external and internal innovations. I would like to share with you just 2 examples we have done. We have supported 2 companies at Cube. The first one is NoCode, which is a French large group in the car repair business. The idea of NoCode was to accelerate on the e-mobility market opportunity, and they was looking for an efficient solutions to build a custom charging solutions comparator. And the NoCode was a great fit for that. So we built an MVP, a V1, with Bubble. We launched in 6 weeks. After that, there were a period of 4-month experimentations, and the market received greatly the project. And after a period of validation internally, we decided, the company decided to scale the app on the other brands of the group, and we rolled out the project on more than 6 countries. For instance, with a white label mode with Midas or A8U in Germany. But of course, we can innovate externally, but also internally. And I have another example for that. We work with the International Tennis Federation to deliver values to employees. This is really the idea of this project, to digitize the data collection process worldwide for the junior tennis initiative. So it was a large project, but it starts small, but now it's quite large. And the idea is to help tennis coaches on the ground to aggregate data, collect data from mobile apps, and centralize into a data analytical dashboard. So this application is rolled out today on more than 130 countries. So I think we can, thanks to NoCode, go step by step. Even if the project does not last over the long run, fails, or is converted to code, it's a great way to launch a new project, new initiative.
We'll talk about scalability in the third part. It's hard to not go into this topic over here. We'll just talk about another topic which is mainly and very important in the NoCode sphere, is about automation. And a lot of example and recs are existing on this. We wanted to focus on specific one, and with you, Grégoire, the first one was about the doc generation and e-signature, which is a very interesting showcase. Can you tell us a little bit more about this?
Yeah, so I just mentioned that we basically replaced most of the no-code solution we implemented in our startups. So this is what we call the front office activities that we believe should be at some point handled by custom code. But for some use cases, like doc generation, we identified that we would probably be able to scale the project with such solution. So for instance, this is a subscription bulletin from Rountable that has to be signed by every single investor when we are about to close an opportunity. So this is just one example of a document. We had much more of them. Some of them should be signed by all investors. Some of them have to be signed by, each document has to be signed by 1 person, etc. So we estimated that if we were about to do this manually, we would spend around 15 hours filling out those paperworks, making sure to go on a uSign, for instance. It's a eFounders company, so we use uSign to generate the e-signature process. So it would be very, very long-lasting. It would be very likely that we have errors in those documentation because you would have to do copy-paste like quite a lot. So we decided to automate. I don't know if you can really see what we've done, but basically we made sure to have templates with contracts, etc. And we made sure to use make. So this is a complex one, but we made sure to basically replace all those variables by content that is coming from an initial database. So this process is still in place, and we still use it to basically generate the whole documentation and make sure to initiate the e-signature process. And we basically went from 15 hours to 1 minute to automate the process. So it's really, really, really powerful.
Thank you, Grégoire. I see that you have the same passion for make than Thibaut at GoJob. Because when we saw the last time, we saw a very impressive automation process based on Make, on Slack, on Notion, and this is just impressive what you've done inside, Thibaut. Can you tell us a little bit more?
Yeah, so on this one, so at GoJob, we believe that NoCode can be put at scale and can bring value on the long term, contrary to what I was saying earlier. So the scenario is impressive, but a lot of modules are only managing errors. So don't worry, it's more simple in real life. So on this one, what was the issue? and why we choose NoCode. So the issue is, so we are a temp agency. So every time we recruit someone, he got to have a medical visit. So that's okay when you got 10, 15, 50 employees. But when you got 1,000, more than 1,000 each week new employee, just as us, it takes a lot of time to organize all the medical visits. And so before the NoCode, we got some ops, our operational teams, that were taking care manually of that using a partner which is called Medispace. So they were taking all the data from our back office, the name, the address, etc., and putting it in our partner's website. And we believe that NoCode has great value in connecting with external solutions in partners, because NoCode is about data and API. And so what we did is we built a make function, which is what you see here, that takes all the data from our back office and that put it in our partners one. And so we did NoCode because in traditional devs, it couldn't have been prioritized because the return on investment is not quite good. While in NoCode, it took us 1 or 2 weeks to do that. And the value it brings is 1/3 of an employee each month. So it was really a good return on investment. That's why we did it. And it's still running, and we do not plan to replace it with traditional developments.
And I don't know if you want to just comment this other use cases that you wanted to share.
Maybe quickly, yeah. So this one is another issue. So we built our internal ticketing tool. So you know, when you got all the business stakeholders, when they got question, they will ask to the tech team, and there is some service layer one, the tech team data, the tech team devs, and you got some external solutions that you can pay for, which are ticketing solutions. And actually, we chose just because it was convenient and really cheap to do. We did that in 1 week. We built our GoJob internal ticketing tool using Slack as a front office for our business stakeholders. Why? Because they are already using Slack. So we didn't change the software, so they ask all their questions with Slack. They share their issues. Then we got in the middle a make automation. So all the HTTP call, I don't know if you see clearly on the right, are functions of our automations. The goal of make is to be the glue between Slack, the user interface, and between Notion. And we use Notion as a Kanban, so a sort of to-do list for the people who are solving the issues. And so we did that in 2 weeks, and it's still running. And we wouldn't neither pay for a solution because it was costly for the scale-up that we are, nor build it with traditional devs on this one.
It's quite impressive, the automation factory you created at GoJob. Can you disclose how many operations run daily inside the company? On Make, maybe?
Anthony, maybe you can have this one, but I think it's 1.5 million per month.
Okay.
And Mohammed, do you think that what is the best use for what is the best use case for NoCode tools in big corporations? Much more automation on innovation launching project.
Everywhere, but under some condition. This is a very good example. It's something that will never go to an enterprise-grade stuff. Because behind what I would like to have is an automated assignment to someone. I would like to have immediately any topic that has been already raised automatically appearing. So I will put some data science, AI, NLP on top of it. But the complete stuff can be used like you have defined it. So the idea here, and then probably you will touch the point around the hybrid. This part, there is nothing better than the low code to build it. Huh? Once you want to add some features that really need to have some algorithmic approach, then a box and drawing something from a box to another will never write the algorithm. So the advice, and that's also why it's not this against that. it's the best thing at a moment, and you can mix them all. And you mentioned earlier on the innovation. So it's often what I'm hearing is that, okay, let's put no code or low code, it will solve everything. No, it won't solve it.
It's a perfect bridge. Thank you, Mohammed, for the third part about critical application but scalability. And we'll try to speak about skills in the end of this third part, because we are thinking about company teams, how the people are working with those tools, not just for launching project or for doing automation individually, but in a big corporation and even in small corporation. So we put different teams on this, and the word of the scalability for NoCode, I don't know, how do you see it, each one of you? Is it what we heard here is much more about launch, about automation, and what is the boundaries? Is there a boundaries, or scalability is possible with NoCode tools? Kind of you, Grégoire, Thibaut.
Yeah, so as we said, our spirit at eFounders is not to build a product using NoCode. We use it to fasten the process of building the product. So we believe that regarding end user products, we have no intent to scale on NoCode solutions. But in terms of internal tooling, operation, automations, everything that is around stuff that are not exposed to the end user, we believe that we can scale with such products.
And why is the main reason why you're not thinking about scale?
First of all, the stack we use. I believe that if we were more into bubble-like solutions, we might dig a bit more into building products this way. But the fact is that we put ourselves a constraint, basically, that we don't want to build tools this way. It's rather a philosophy or a politic than anything else at the moment, but maybe it will change in the future.
Thibaut, you share the same vision?
Yeah. For us, NoCode can be reliable, scalable, but it's quite hard, and it doesn't depend on the stack, I guess, but mostly on the skills of the maker, of the product builder who is behind it. And we see a great difference after between what we was doing 2 years ago and what we are doing now. So it's quite important to have the good practices, the good learnings, because you can do non-scalable and scalable no-code with the same tools.
Probably more in the low code than the no code. You can take some examples where you have the complete front office of one of the largest banks in Europe that is full low code solution. Doesn't mean that we didn't write any piece of code. Full low code solution. In the new low code approach, there is a couple of automation in the deployment, in the check that we don't find everywhere in small no-code operations. So it might be scalable. Now, there is, whenever you use a tool, you have to know the boundary of usage of this tool. Don't try to do something with it where it has not been made for. And often you find someone who just take the tool and say, okay, I'm going to do everything with it. So it can be scalable as far as you see it and check it in the very beginning, and you see to what extent you want to be scalable. It's not the same thing to be scalable for 10 people, 1,000, than to have 50,000 people that are connecting at the same time at the application, which is critical. So it's always how it works and where it is interesting, where it is less interesting.
Yeah, I think the condition of scalability in NoCode is closely related to the alignment of technology, use case, and team and organization. And I think this is what you made at GoJob. You tried, because you presented to us when we met you in your offices, what you created around NoCode automations to monitor errors and so on. So you try to also implement some good practices also to allow this scalability, I think.
Yes, so that's the topic of tomorrow's roundtable. No, this afternoon's
It's a teaser.
roundtable, but yes, scalability. So it's about practice during the build. Just one example for those who are doing make. we used to build non-scalable make scenarios because we were putting our intelligence within make, and we learn by putting the intelligence in the SQL. So when we ask the data, so we don't have any differences between low code and no code at GoJob. And when we want to do something scalable, yes, we get to change or to adjust the tools. And in terms of process, which was the question, yes, processes are quite important if you want to do no code on the long term. For instance, if you are several product builders, so what we are doing is every time we anticipate an error, we put an error route in our automations, and then all of that comes to a Kanban in an automated way, so that each product builder knows what errors he have and when to make his scenario, his automation reliable.
And is security or compliance a topic that is important, significant when you launch a project, or is it something just for big corporation, or is it something we are not thinking about when we launch a project with NoCode tools?
First, it's not only for big corporation, because you can even have a simple application if it interacts with your system behind, and you have someone, which is the easiest way to hack something. I can give you some example. So security is every and each part of an IT system should be secure. The topic today that most of the customers or the large ISV like us are asking is, how do you deal with security in your own product? Because I'm going to use it. I'm going to build application on Bubble, OutSystem, Mendix, whatever you want. So I'm relying on you to secure it, because the stack is your stack, it's not mine. So what we look after when we try to select the right tools for a place is to see how those guys are dealing with. What is the organization in terms of security that exists in their own organization that makes sure that any threat potential is immediately put into the code? And it's not something easy. It's not something easy. So security is, I would say, it's a no-brainer. It's mandatory. Compliance, you'll have the same thing, because if you go to an organization of a certain size, you have a compliance topic around the protection of data privacy, and you may end by paying 4% of your annual turnover if you have a breach. So you can do it in small stuff somewhere in departmental organization. But whenever you want to address large organization, they have such kind of topic. So it's not something that is only for. I advise you to take, I would say, those points, because otherwise the risk is that we destroy the idea. Sorry.
Thank you, Mohammed. And I'm obliged to think about you and SopraSteria when I see the lock-in topic, which is maybe much more corporate issue, but maybe Grégoire and Thibaut think that is a significant part of the choice of the stack too. I don't know what you think about the subject.
We have much less constraint than the one we just mentioned. Of course, we are building startups, so we start from the ground. We have no database, we have no systems, we have nothing. So we just start from scratch. But basically, there is, for instance, on Rountable, we are supposed to collect information that are quite important for those people. So we are supposed to run KYC, KYB, so we need to collect information related to the financial instrument of the investors, etc. And we decided, so we put boundaries at this point, and we decided to not use no-code solution to collect those things, because we didn't want to process personal information using no-code solutions for the sake of security, of course, and we wanted to build trust with our investors.
So you are not confident with the security of no-code tools now? Or this is much more a philosophy, as you said, and a trend, and we are coming to this subject with no-code?
We didn't want to have any issue. So even if it's just a mental issue, but we didn't want to expose ourselves against our investors by having to justify why we were using no-code solutions, etc. So we decided to, okay, let's not process those information this way.
But also, I think in the context of no-code editors, it's not security is not only a matter of editors, but also developers, no-code developers or low-code developers who build on top of those technologies. I think about Bubble, but there are many others. We need to implement the privacy rules rigorously to secure the app. So I think, well, yes, Mohammed,
just to avoid any misunderstanding, when you choose a tool as a stack to build your stuff, you pay attention on how those guys are managing those security issues. And you may say, today, if you use Amazon, you know that for those topics, they will deliver certain level of security. So you rely on them. When you use the low-code project tools, it's the same thing. You have just to question yourself. And it's the same question that you may have from a large company that said, okay, I'm going to use Bubble, whatever, take any name, to develop a part of my information system. The question is, and suppose tomorrow that any of those low-code or no-code decide to stop, or even to multiply by 10 the price. What am I going to do? If you have 100 man days of development, you don't care, you build it again. If you have 10,000 man days of low-code development done, it's quite difficult to start again to develop the same thing with another tool and so on. So those are normal questions. They are not showstopper. But we should be ready to say, this is, maybe as a summary, this is how we answer to those risks. You should not hide those things. And it's like any new technology, it's nothing new.
Yeah, and in the scale-up world, it's quite an in-between, because we got our database with private data existing, and we don't get the same constraints as well. So in terms of security, what I would say is that we choose our use case knowing that, yes, the GoJob no-code team are not experts in terms of security. So for instance, we offer some bank account for some of our workers. We do not make no-code on that. That's an example. We choose our use cases where we need to innovate or we need to automate things. And on these ones, the main reason is about lead time, deliver quickly value. So if you got to put a lot of security, a lot of compliance, I would say that it will reduce the competitive advantage of the no-code. So that's what we do.
Thank you all for your testimonies on this topic. And we wanted with Thomas to speak about no-code skills, because no-code are tools, but there are people behind there to use their tools. And the first thing is, do you believe at the citizen developer? You think it's a reality or a dream? I don't know, Mohammed?
It's not a dream, it exists. What for is the question. You have already started to do citizen developer when you have an Excel sheet. What are you doing? You put set of data and then you draw a pie chart. It's low code. So is it something where we do believe that anyone can transform himself into a developer, enterprise grade, secure? We don't believe this. If we want to offer those tools to end users, we should define, I'm speaking about large enterprise, the architectures, the rules where those guys can use this. I don't care what the guy is doing, but he has to respect a couple of rules because he interacts with a system that is critical for a company. So citizen developer, no worries, and it will go more and more. As far as you define, this is where you can play, and this is where we cannot. It's so it's gonna work. It is working.
Mohammed, what is your opinion about hybrid teams in the context of large companies?
Yeah, I guess it's whenever you launch agile project, a real agile project, not I don't know the spec, so I do agile, huh? Real agile project, you have users that can decide, you have people that can write the piece of code that is needed, and if those users have some tools just to show what they want to have, it's much more better than to say, okay, I'm having a slide. So hybrid teams where you have people that are either users that design their workflow, if it is a workflow topic, either people that have a good understanding of the best usage of this specific tool, and the others that will complement with what is needed to write an algorithm. So people that are, I would say, IT savvy, it's the perfect, from myself, it's a perfect organization. It's you take the best of the three and you make them work together.
Speaking about organization, Thibaut, at GoJob, you showed us that you have a real boundaries between makers and product builders, and you have a specific career inside, because there is a lot of definitions. Is citizen developer a maker, product builder, both? And you have something in mind very specific on this.
Yes, but for us, it's the same people. So when you enter at GoJob in a no-coder track, you begin by being maker, because the aim is to grow, to be able to build a product which is reliable and scalable. When you know how to do that in our organization, but it's our career path, you become a product builder. But it's part of the same team. But now the question, can anyone build with no code? We don't have the answer yet. We are asking ourselves that, because when we are doing some automations, the operational teams often ask, okay, can I do myself automations or part of them? And yet, I don't know, but what we are trying to do is we keep our maker, our product builders, a tech team with tech use cases, our tech processes to manage errors and to do scalability. And then we'll try to open another environment for the ops. The use cases may be different in terms of data access, in terms of scalability, but they will manage it. I think it will evolve in the coming years with the software, but in the use cases that we presented just before, you need to be tech to build them, to build these automations, or at least to code in SQL or things like that.
And what do you think that we need to be tech to use no-code tools? And
that's a tough question. Still asking it to myself. No, to be honest, yeah, I believe at least you need some software architecture concept. You need to have them in mind, actually. But yeah, it's like development. You can build poor websites and you can build great websites, and it depends on the skills you have. And I believe this is the same for no code. You can do very simple things using no code solutions. For instance, I have worked with our office management team, our legal team, our accounting team at building automation to ease their life on a day-to-day basis. And those people, they have no coding skills, they have no technical background. And they manage to edit those workflows themselves, they manage to add some modules, they actually enjoy it. They feel like they have superpowers, and they feel autonomous at building automation for themselves. So this way, I guess anyone can build those things. Then if you want to have implementation like the one we've seen at GoJob or the one we've seen earlier, I believe you need a bit more skills to be able to build those things and maintain them, and so it depends when you want to build.
Context, it depends the use case and the purpose of if you build a scalable app with a massive no-code infrastructure, or if you would like to experiment maybe some ideas. Yeah.
And that's about the offer. But when we consider the demand, I think there is demand everywhere. There is demand for major tech projects performed quickly with no code, and there is demand from our ops team who every day do the same task with a Google Sheet that can be automatized. So demand is everywhere.
So clearly no code is not equal to no expertise, you think?
No.
Personally, don't like the term no code. So.
No, but that's we are too. No, it's not. It's not equal to no expertise. And So this is a personal vision. I think that the low code and the no code will change how the world of text will evolve, because what will be covered by the low code it's the simplest thing. What will remain is the most complex things, where you really need to be techy. The world will be there. So we will see some people that were today, if you want to deploy, I would say, large-scale solution, Kubernetes, microservice, and so on, which is more or less what we develop in the. There is so much things that you need to understand that you have few people that are able to do so. Our banking cloud platform is 70 different components that are interacting together. Technical stack. Huh? Having one guy understanding all this stuff and mastering this doesn't exist. So what we want is that you have to use such kind of tool to say people that are not able to be at this level of tech, they still understand the business. So low code will help them to forget about how do you deploy an application somewhere. It's not their job. But what will remain will be the most, I would say, important. And this is why, from a large company like us, the problem of skills that we will face in the next 3 to 5 years is how do we continue to develop something that is very techy with less resources and that sound. So no, it's not against no expertise.
Yeah, sure. Maybe as a conclusion, at Cube we like this graph, which is the Dunning-Kruger effect, because regarding the expertise, we clearly think at Cube that no-code doesn't mean no expertise. For sure, no-code is more accessible, and the learning curve is faster than traditional programming, but it requires time to master a tool, and it's this effect which is described here. The idea, maybe some people will recognize in the room, including me, but when we start discovering a tool, very rapidly we say, okay, it's easy, I'm an expert, give me some complex project, it's easy. But when we come across the first difficulties, we fall rapidly into the valley of despair, and it takes time to gain confidence on the tool and build complex projects. It's even more the case if you would like to create some complex project, such as GoJob, or if you want to scale an app, and reaching the plateau is a long journey. But I think it's even more the case also because the technologies evolve fast, and also it's a continuous learning. And having a tech background, we think, may speed up the process of enlightenment to reach the plateau. Yeah.
Yeah, I tend to agree.
For us, it was the same, but it happens many times. Meaning you believe you're an expert, and then you discover that you're not, and then you learn. So we are still learning a lot.
If you look at all the tools that are popping up every day, so you have to be constantly learning new things and new UX, new way of building things. So yeah, you have to. Yeah, it's a tough job to
even
stay
on
up to
one
date.
tool. Well, there are new features every week. So.
So thank you. I see the hour that's passing. Maybe just taking 1 or 2 questions if there is in the public, and after this we'll conclude the session. I don't know. The first one is always the hardest one.
Or you can ask them anytime after.
Oh, after, yeah. This is timekeeper. Maybe one.
Question somewhere.
Service purposes, like in BI, business intelligence, etc., or do you think it's a false good idea and rapidly because of security and compliance, which role?
I can give the answer I have. Yes, you can use it. As far as what I've mentioned earlier, the idea is to define the boundaries. Say this is where you can play. And then you use the tools that you want. Huh? It's already existing today. Today.
But my experience is we are rapidly confronted to performance issues, really in big companies because they have billions of roles, etc. So it's harder and harder to really stay in low code, no code.
Yeah, and I will let the others answer. The point is that when you have a strategy of low code in a company, you define where it is applicable. Yes. So it's not someone who is coming and say, okay, tomorrow I'm going to use Bubble, whatever. Huh? In large companies, because it's so in this case, it's the role of CIO, infrastructure, whatever, to define the boundaries and say this is a good tool for this, not for that. So it works, and today there are a couple of tools that are not low code, but so you can do a lot of BI with it that are existing and that are touching very large database. Huh?
But the question was maybe are no-code technologies enough mature and performant to maybe?
Yes, yeah. Talking about like for example for the data, the security. For example, I work at EDF, and there is a lot of talk about okay, is the tool on premise or with the data we go
That's
I think we can do a main stage on this point. I see the time. Thank you very much for your question. I think we don't have.
One question there, I guess.
Okay, we take it. Take the last one. And there's one question.
Okay, we try, but please be quick. Thank you. Adrienne from Hello Work. Maybe a question for Thibaut. How did you manage? How did you build your no-code team developer? What kind of skill are you looking for when you are looking for somebody to join your team?
I will answer, but je suis biaisé. Yes, because of what we do with no-code. So we are on the automations part, and having that in mind, in no-code we are looking for makers, so people who know the solutions and want to do it. We are looking for product because the value that we see in no-code is to quickly iterate. So we want our no-coders to have the ownership of the discovery of all the iterations on the project. So maker, product, and the last one is about data. Because we are scale up, we already have databases, so we need some people to have a kind of a tech data knowledge. So that's the three main pillars that we are looking for, but we cannot find it on the market. So all of our profiles, so they can be not engineers and they can be not experts, and we have to teach them how to do that.
If I can add, I advise you to look at people going out from boot camps like Le Wagon or stuff like that, because those people, they have learned right the amount of skills they need to be very autonomous at building no-code solutions. So, but they are probably a bit less relevant to become real developers, at least right after the bootcamp. But for makers and builders, I believe it's a very, very, very good profile.
So thank you, Mohammed, Thibaut, Grégoire, Thomas. Thank you to all.